7:40 p.m. This meeting continues to be recorded by Raycam. Pledge, Ms. Riley.
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. The minutes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept as printed the minutes of the January 7th, 2020 meeting and also the minutes of the January 14th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. Department heads, Matt Tanis, our health agent.
Evening, board. So in the past few weeks, I'll start first. On January 9th, I attended a state forum with Mass DPH, Mass Department of Agriculture, and area health agents. It was one of 4 forums held regarding Triple E and West Nile virus in the upcoming season. The state, between Mass Department of Agriculture and Department of Health, are looking to update the arborvirus response plan that's been in place for many, many years. Given the very bad season we had this past summer, they wanted input from the health agents as to how, health boards, as to how we felt the state responded and if there was anything they could do differently. I expressed the gratitude for the early spraying and being very responsive this year compared to previous bad years. But I did mention I would like to see the state really focus heavily on larvicide in the spring, more than just 2 or 3 days of plane flying. We got into a pretty good discussion regarding that. Aerial larvicide application via an aircraft, fixed wing aircraft, is very ineffective. It doesn't target the larvicide where it needs to go. So they're looking into different options. It's very difficult to get into a lot of these swamps by foot, but with drones now, they're looking into different options with drones, also helicopters if they can get contractors that have helicopters with the season being what it is. So we'll see what transpires come April, but they do hope to have the new plan out by the end of April. So hopefully it'll clarify some things with the schools, sports programs, as well as they're changing some of the policies. There was a gentleman who had supposedly contracted Triple E right in a surrounding town. We were not notified because it wasn't from Raynham, but through communication, and whatnot, did find out it was somebody from Taunton, yet the risk level wasn't raised. That's what I was looking for, to critical. Taunton's remained high, and I questioned that, and what was not communicated to us as health agents this year, but it is now. Going forward, just because somebody from a specific town tests positive and contracts Triple E or West Nile virus will not be an automatic trigger for that town to a critical risk. If there's substantial evidence that that person did not contract the virus from that town. So if, say, somebody in Leominster spent a huge amount of time in Taunton and Raynham over the summer, goes back, and also they contract Triple E, it's more likely they contracted it here. So they said there's a lot of things they're focusing on to get a better grasp on how to handle, especially the media and getting the message out. So it was very informative. It's a couple hours. I'll be looking forward to the response plan. Of course, I'll share any updates coming for that. We had interviews for the health inspector position last week. We had several good applicants. An offer has been extended to the person who helps the best candidate. So more to follow in the next couple of weeks on that. Keeping up with the food inspections in the interim. I actually had a college student follow me last week on a handful of inspections, which is good. Some different people showing interest in the profession, which is rare. So I was more than happy to have them come out with me. Our annual permitting, there's still a handful of permits that are renewals that we haven't received yet. So we're just trying to work with them to get everything back. At this point, they'll be assessed a late fee, which is double the original permit fee. Had a couple of complaints over the past few weeks. The main two had some complaints from Shady Acres Mobile Home Park regarding trash and condition of the roadways. Been able to work with the park owners and gain compliance. Trash has been removed, and the worst of the holes in the roadway have been fixed. So, going to be an ongoing thing there, but it's progress. Also, some earth source complaints. Talked to Mr. Kelly last week and had some good discussion regarding the material that's been stockpiled in the removal per the DEP order that was issued last year. Weather has certainly caused a pretty significant delay, but as weather permits, as soon as you can get the trucks in and the equipment in, he's getting the material removed. So they are working on it. DEP is satisfied with the progression given the weather delays. So between DEP, the discussions I've had with Jeff Gould and Mr. Kelly, that's where we stand with that. I also had a sewer department got a complaint over the weekend from Moore, the Robinson Wilbur Street end, which would pertain to more the sewer discharge from the plant. So I did talk just briefly to the plant manager. Just going to check the chlorinators to make sure they're functioning properly, and he's going to take some rides off hours through the area too, just check for odors. So, and there's a new virus that's out of China. It's the Wuhan coronavirus, which is very similar. It's an upper respiratory virus, very similar to the SARS virus that turned into an outbreak early in 2000. So just today, there was a first confirmed case in the United States in Washington. So we're watching that pretty closely, as is, of course, the Department of Public Health. So I know that the airports are doing a really good job of screening people before they get on the plane like that. But
what are the symptoms of that?
Coughing, more it's like cold type.
Flu?
Cold and flu type,
like?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If anyone thinks they might have symptoms, and I'll try to get, as I get more information, I'll post it to our website too regarding it. But the two questions that I would ask if anybody were to call and think they may have contracted the virus is, have you traveled outside the country, or have you been in close contact with anyone that's traveled outside the country? If you have, then, of course, there's definitely potential. If you have not, then I would just see.
Chances are it's just a cold.
Yeah. So, other than that, flu is very much widespread, so wash your hands and try to keep contact with those who are sick to a minimum possible. Any questions?
Any questions?
No questions, but Matt, please keep on track with that situation at the dog track.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Riley, you all set?
Yes, thank
All right.
you, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Matt.
We have no appointments this evening. Citizen and community input? None. Public hearings, none. New business, easement agreement, parcels 1-1P and 1-2PE. What is the board's pleasure on that?
Which one is it from? The easements.
Those are Mr. Leroy's.
Mr. Leroy's, oh yeah. I have no problem with them.
Is that a motion?
Yes, it'll be motion.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. We have a request from the town clerk to use this room for early voting Monday, February 24th through Friday, February 28th during regular business hours. What is the board's pleasure? Grant the request, and also to have Graham make sure that anybody who is going to have a meeting during those times, Is
that they would
notified.
have to meet in the other room, because no one can meet in here while that's going on.
Yep.
Okay?
I would second that also, Mr. Chairman, and if there are any night meetings too that involve many people, they may want to check with the South School to see if there's availability there, as we've done with our meeting.
Yep. So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. We have discussion of town administrator's performance. I had put this on the agenda. As the board is aware from last week's conversation, I solicited feedback from staff. I received them. I will be spending the week reviewing that, but we're a little over 3 months into the town administrator's performance, and he's on 6 months probation. I wanted to see if the board is inclined to join me in conducting an evaluation as to his performance so far and making a determination how we want to proceed before probation expires.
I myself am not ready to do that. Not yet. He hasn't been here long enough.
Okay, so when would you propose to do it?
As I believe his contract says April?
April is when the probation ends.
Probationary ends. Okay, so next month maybe. February, March is good enough for me.
Yes, I think it's 3 months is too soon to evaluate anyone. So if we do the annual evaluation in April, I think probably a month before that we could do some initial discussion, have some initial discussion.
Do we want to formalize that process then?
In what way?
Well, if we're saying March, I'd like to have a vote so we know that we are going to hold to that, because I think it's extremely important that we conduct a formal evaluation before probation ends. It's the sound thing to do.
All right, then just take a date in March when there's nothing going on. That's 3rd. It can't be the 3rd. I probably will not be here on the 3rd. The 10th?
It's fine by me.
Okay, I'll go along with that.
March 10th.
So is that a motion to put it on the agenda for March 10th?
It is.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I believe you missed an item. Vote for request technical assistance.
Oh, yes, thank you.
And Mike is here to talk
Okay.
a little bit about that.
Perfect. Mike, come on down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael King, Town Treasurer. So one of the things that we do after we have a bond rating call is we request feedback on areas where the town can improve financially. And one of the things they recommended is that the town formulate some written financial policies. So the feedback was positive. They said we're doing the right things, but we don't have it in writing. So 10% of the having a general stabilization fund tied to 10% of your operating budget, using free cash for one-time purchases, not using it to balance personnel expenses in a budget. So we're doing the right thing, but since we don't have it as a written policy, we're leaving points on the table during the rating call. So one of the things that we're looking at is the Department of Local Services has the Bureau of Technical Assistance. And what they'll do is they will provide a consultant at no cost to help the town formulate some customized financial policies. So they'll work with the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, to create a free cash policy, a debt policy, reserve policy, numbers that the parties are comfortable with. But it's something different than just going to another town's website and copy and pasting Town of Raynham at the top of the policy. So what I'm asking for tonight is just a non-binding vote to just request technical assistance. We can't get on the list for this consulting, this free no-cost consulting, unless the Board of Selectmen take a vote to request the assistance in formulating these financial policies.
And Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'll also chime in and say that this goes towards one of the goals of the board that you have just adopted not too long ago, having financial foundation in place. So it's kudos to Mike and his efforts to get this brought before you all.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make that motion to approve, and basically everything would come back to us for final approval in any case.
Yes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
We had our discussion, and we did take a vote on the town meeting, so I don't think unless the board has anything to add, we have to go on with that.
Yeah. Do we need to delay the date for that?
Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Chairman?
we hadn't formally said it, I don't
Right,
think,
we
so
hadn't,
I would
okay.
say we should just put it on
Okay,
hold.
for
till-
next week.
Yeah.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Any other new business, Mrs. Smith?
New business, no, I don't think so.
Okay, Ms. Riley?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Old business, we have the streetlight request for North Main Street. It had been sent to the Highway Department. The Highway Department responded, and paraphrasing, consistent with the town's policy in the past, we light major intersections, and so it's not being recommended as a necessity. Does the board wish to take any other action?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other old business, Mrs. Smith?
No.
Ms. Riley?
No, thank you.
Okay. Town Administrator's report, Mr. Waters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Wednesday, January 15th, I met with Joe Bickle, the town's liability insurance broker, and account representative to review the town's liability claims and policies. We agreed to increase the town's deductible from $5,000 to $10,000 in order to lower the town's annual premium. This was decided after consulting with our finance staff to see if it would be beneficial. Nothing of significance came up with the claims history, which will be discussed before the town safety committee for review, and recommended changes in safety practices. Town hall carpet tiles have been started to be installed. The project should be completed by the end of January. You can see it in the first floor offices already. The second floor will be conducted this weekend. The town has been awarded the Community Compact Grant for permitting software to support the building and fire departments. The town was awarded its fully requested $40,000. This grant helps support progress to achieving one of the Selectmen's goals and improving IT functions in town departments. So kudos to the board tonight. You have taken 2 solid steps to achieving your goals. Upcoming Council of Aging monthly breakfast is January 27th at 9:30 a.m. at the Senior Center building on King Philip Street. The next regularly scheduled Selectmen's meeting is on Tuesday, January 28th at 7 p.m. right here in the Don McKinnon Meeting Room of Town Hall. And finally, Serpent has reached out to us. They're still on track for mid-February meeting before the Board of Selectmen to discuss the master planning process. So you can expect that coming up on an agenda in the future.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Waters?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Selectmen's report, Mrs. Smith.
Well, let's see. I have a newspaper clipping here, and it's in regards to the Route 138 project, and I do believe that the DP is going to have a meeting here tomorrow night. Let's see, 138 Broadway, let's see what time, 6:30 tomorrow night?
Yeah, I believe it's
it is
6:30.
here, yeah. So anyone interested in the 138 project and how it may affect you in any way, you can come here tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. and discuss it with the, I don't know who's going to be here.
Probably reps from DOT, potentially Serpent.
Yeah, I would say so, but it didn't quite, just a couple of names here, but I don't believe they would be the people that would be here. At any rate, tomorrow night, 1:38. Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan, for finding that in the newspaper, because I don't get the newspaper anymore. I'm sure that most of you by this time know that Catherine McKinnon passed away yesterday. She was the wife of Donald McKinnon, somebody that we all know, and I would like to send my condolences to the family, and I'm sure that the board would like to do also. Kathy was a lovely woman who was behind her husband in everything that he did. Where you found Dawn, you found Kathy, and she was instrumental in him achieving a lot of his successes. Little people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that, but she was. She was supportive in everything that he did, and she will be missed by all of her friends and relatives.
Very eloquent, Mrs. Smith. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it. I'm good.
Ms. Riley.
I would just second Mrs. Smith's comments and send condolences out to the McKinnon family, to Laura and Sean and Jimmy, 6 months after the passing of Dawn. And if there was a first family in Raynham, certainly they would have a good opportunity to claim that. I think being involved in the town of Raynham, serving as many years as Dawn did, and as Marie said, Kathy was always there at Dawn's side, probably attended more meetings than many people in their lifetimes, for sure. So condolences out to them. And the only other thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is I believe on February 2nd or 3rd, we're going to be having a joint meeting with the Government Study Committee concerning the library, the Raynham Public Library. And I don't know if it's part of the plans or not, but I would like to request that the librarian, Eden Ferguson, attend that meeting to give a presentation.
Fine by me. I would say if we're going to do that, though, we should probably invite the board president, because she has a board that she responds to. So.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Is the town moderator the president of the board?
Well, I don't know.
He's on the board?
He's on the board. I don't know if he's the president. All right, correspondence, we have one piece. It's to hold 3 horse shows at Rosina's Field in May, June, and August. And as always, we'll hire an EMT for medical. What's the board's pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved. No members of the press are with us this evening. No emergency business. What is the board's pleasure?
Move to adjourn, pay the bills, no business to be conducted.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
They are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.